Hi, this is Rob. I'm going to be showing you how to do the exercises that go along with the video lesson, What are Polynomials? Are you ready? Let's get started. For our first problem, we need to fill in the blank, and we have the number part of a term is called the blank. And remember, the number part of a term is a really cool math term that you can use to impress your friends at parties. It's the coefficient. For problem 2, we're supposed to fill in the blank, and we have if a term in a polynomial only has a number part, it's called a blank term. Now remember, a term normally has a number part and a variable part. So if it only has a number part, then it doesn't have a variable part. And since it doesn't have a variable part, it doesn't change, and so it's a constant term. Constant. For problem 3, we have how many terms does this polynomial have? And we have these terms here being added and subtracted together. And not all of them seem to have both parts, like there's supposed to be a number part and a variable part. And this one doesn't have a visible number part, but remember, you can always think of there being one in a term that doesn't have a visible number part. And this one here doesn't have a variable part, but you could think of it as having x to the 0, which is just 1, so it would be 8 times 1. So all of these here are terms, so there are 4 terms. For problem 4, we have write the degree of each of these terms in the blank next to it. And remember, the degree of a term is determined by the power of its variable part. So for 3x squared, the power of its variable part is 2. So the degree of the term is 2. For this one here, 10x, there's not a power on this variable part. That means we can just think of it as having a power of 1. So the degree of this term is 1. 6x cubed, the degree of this term is 3. The power of this exponent is 3, so the degree of this term is 3. For this one, there's 2 variables in this variable part, but it's still just one term. And so in this case, we add the powers together. So x squared, that power is 2. Y squared, that power is 2, so we add 2 and 2, and we get 4 for the degree of that term. For problem 5, we have what is the coefficient of the third degree term of this polynomial? All right, so let's look at these terms and determine which is the third degree term. So this has a second degree term. This is a first degree term. Right here is a third degree term. The power is 3 on this one, and this would be a 0 degree term or a constant term. So for this term here, now you might think that the coefficient is just 2. But remember, we're supposed to think of all of the terms as being added together, and the symbol in front, the plus or the minus, is actually a positive or a negative sign for that coefficient. So we should actually think of this as having a negative 2 for the coefficient. For problem 6, we have what is the coefficient of the second degree term of this polynomial? And x squared here, this is the second degree term. And it might look like it doesn't have a coefficient, but remember, the coefficient and the variable part are multiplied together, and in multiplication, there's always a factor of 1. So you can think of there being a 1 right here that we just normally don't show because it doesn't change the value of that. But the coefficient of this is 1. For problem 7, we have what is the degree of this polynomial? We have 4x to the 5th minus 3x squared minus x. And the degree of a polynomial is determined by the highest degree of any of its terms. And the highest degree term in this polynomial is this here, 4x to the 5th. So that means that this degree of this term is the degree of the whole polynomial. So it is a 5th degree polynomial, so degree 5. For problem 8, we have what is the degree of this polynomial? And so we have 4xy minus 3y plus 8. And at first glance, it might look like both of these have the same degree, but remember we have to add the degrees. And when we don't show an exponent, that means it's 1, but there's 2 variables in the variable part of this term. So we add those together, and that makes this a second degree term. And so a degree of 2 is the highest degree of the terms in this polynomial, and so that's the degree of this polynomial, is 2. For problem 9, rearrange this polynomial so its terms are in order from highest to lowest. All right, so the first thing we should do is figure out what the highest degree term in this polynomial is. This is a degree of 1. This is a degree of 3 right here. This is a degree of 0. This is a degree of 2. So 3 is the highest degree term, so 2x cubed. So we'll put that first, 2x cubed. I'll go ahead and cross that out so we'll remember. The next highest degree term, see we have 1, 0, and 2. So this is the next highest degree term. Notice that it has a minus sign in front of it, so that means that this term is negative. So we'll put that here, negative 7x squared, or minus 7x squared, however you want to say it. So now we have a degree of 1 and a degree of 0. So the next one is the degree of 1. And it doesn't have a symbol in front of it, so that means it's positive. So we'll add that, 5x. And now all we have left is this 15, but it's being subtracted, so that means it's a negative term, minus 15 or negative 15. So here is the polynomial arranged in order from highest degree to lowest degree. And for problem 10, we need to rearrange this polynomial so its terms are in order from highest to lowest. We have 7 plus 2xy minus 4x cubed y plus 5x. And I'm going to make a little note under each one of these so we'll keep track of like what degree term we have. On here, it's a 0 degree term. It's a constant term. Here we have 2xy. The x and the y both have a power of 1, so you add those together, and the degree of that whole term is 2. Then we have negative 4x cubed y. So we have 3 and 1 here. So we add those together, and that's a 4th degree term. And here we have 5x, and so it's just x to the 1, which is x. So that is just a 1st degree term. All right, so this is our highest degree term. We need that first, but it's being subtracted, so that means this term is negative. So we need to keep that minus sign with us. So we'll put negative 4x cubed y. Cross that off. The next highest term is 2, and it's being added. It's positive. We'll put plus 2xy. Cross that off. The next highest term is this here, 5x. It's being added, so it's positive 5x. And then the next term left is the 7 by itself. It doesn't have a symbol in front of it. That means it's positive. It's being added. So we put it right there. And here is this polynomial rewritten in order from the highest degree term to the lowest degree term.